Jason Cantu. I'm with Tigris Real Estate and this year's president of the Lubbock Apartment Association. The Lubbock Apartment Association represents and supports owners, managers, suppliers in the rental housing industry. We have 525 members who manage over 36,000 apartments, single-family homes, townhomes, and duplexes in the Lubbock and the surrounding 13 counties. I'd like to start off the day by recognizing a few groups of people who have been instrumental in the success of the Apartment Association and this event. If you are a current or past LAA board member, please stand up and be recognized at this time. I would also like to recognize the elected officials, the representative, and special guests in the room, and thank you for attending today. Our final group we would like to recognize are our sponsors of this event. We have seen names and logos, and they have been scrolling on the screens. There are a particular group I'd like to give special thank yous to. That is Title I, Lubbock Associations of Realtors, Star Care Specialty Health System, Lubbock Firefighters Association, and Cantex Roofing, Construction, and Glass. Thank you very much for being our top-tier sponsors today. As many of you know, the State of the City Address benefits a charity of the Mayor's Choice. For years, this event has been able to make donations in the Mayor's name to organizations like Family Promise, Scottish Rite Learning Center, the South Plains Honor Flight, the benevolent funds of the Lubbock Fire and Police Departments, and Literacy Lubbock. In 40-plus years of this event, the donations, thank yous to all the LA Board of Directors, we have totaled well over $495,000. I won't steal Mayor McBrayer's thunder, and I'll let him announce who he has selected as a beneficiary this year. Now that all the thank yous are complete, will Commissioner Dalby and Pastor Johnson join me on the stage? While the rest of you please stand as the Lubbock Fire and Fire Department Honor Guard presents the colors, followed by our pledges of allegiances and national anthem and prayer.
Please join me in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Please stay standing for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's pray together. Oh God, you open our lips and our mouths proclaim your praise because we're glad to be on your planet and to be about your business of building up your city. Accept our thanks for this day. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we rejoice and we are glad in it. We're grateful for Mayor Mark McBrayer, for all of these city officials and servants, for all of these women and men that lead your commerce and your business in this phenomenal city. We pray your hand of blessing on them, enrich them so that they can build not only their own enterprise, but an economy that makes a place for all your children at your table of bounty. We're grateful for Mayor McBrayer. We pray that you would give him wisdom and courage. We pray that you would order his paths. Grateful for our friendship that we have with this good and decent man. And we ask that you would resource him with everything that you would provide a leader for one of your great cities. And that through his leadership, this city would be a leader for every city in our nation. What a remarkable place this is. This good food has enriched our bodies, nourished us. This good information today will challenge us. And may we leave this place and go and be better citizens. For it's in your name that we pray these things. And all the people of God said together, amen.
Yes, you may be seated. Everyone can please be seated now. Again, thank you, County Commissioner Mike Dalby and Pastor Johnson for leading us in the pledges and the prayer. And thank you again to the Burt Boys for the music today. That was special. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Now the moment we all been waiting for. Will you please join me in welcoming Mayor Mark McBrayer to the stage? Please come up. And I will turn it over to you, good sir.
Appreciate it very much. Well, let me raise this up a little bit. Everybody hear me? Good morning. Welcome to the Mayor's State of the City address, hosted by the great Lubbock Apartment Association. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Suzanne, all of you for putting this together for 43 years, a long time. I'm carrying on a tradition that was started 43 years ago by one of our former mayors who is here today, Alan Henry. So this is a great tradition. We stand in line of that, and we appreciate these other mayors who are here with us today. It's important that we come together and you hear from us about what our vision is, and we have this opportunity to share it together. I can't promise this address will be as newsworthy as last night's State of the Union address. If anybody wants to stand up and yell at me or something, and get hauled out, maybe we can have a little excitement here. I don't know. I saw a fireman over there with an axe, so, I'll send him out there to enforce everything. But I'm happy to be here. I'm pretty sure that, like me, the state of the city where you live, work, and raise your family concerns you very deeply and very personally. Now, I promise not to be as long as the president was last night, but at least, he was addressing people who just vote. I'm addressing the people here today who actually do things, and so I appreciate you all being here. A great and wonderful attendance here today. I think this is an opportunity for me to introduce myself to a lot of you, so I thank you for showing up today. Some of you are probably wondering who I am and how it is that I'm standing here before you as your mayor. I think that's because of three things. I think I was successful because of three things. I had a clear focus on my priorities. I worked hard, and some of the people who worked very hard with me are here today. And I was motivated by my love for Lubbock. And I think that's something that we share here today. I think all of you are here as successful people because you have a clear focus, and because you know what your priorities are, and because you work hard, and you're motivated by something that you love. And hopefully one of those things is your love for this city that we all live in. A little bit more about me, though. Lubbock's been my home for 67 years. My wife, Cindy, and I raised our daughter, Whitney, who can't be here today. She's out in Scottsdale, Arizona, doing some CE. She's a dentist. And our son, Bryant, who is here with me today, he was a Navy SEAL, and he is now studying to become a nurse. They've made Lubbock their home, too. More importantly, though, it's home to my two granddaughters, who are, of course, in school today, where they should be. So I would love for you to meet them sometime. They're the light of my life, and they're the real reason that I'm doing this. It's for the future of this city, for the future that my grandchildren, my granddaughters will have here. So nobody wants Lubbock to grow and succeed more than I do. I go to City Hall each and every day promising the people of Lubbock to work hard for them. And we're doing that. I come here every day to work hard to make sure that we maintain the values that are important to us and to be responsible with how we use the tax dollars that you've committed to us. Although I've only been your mayor for about 8 months now, I couldn't be more excited about the things I have to share with you today and the things we're working on as a city for our future. Right off the bat, I want to say that I'm proud of the work that we've been able to do, that I've been able to do with our city council. We've accomplished a lot of things in a very short period of time with a lot of people on the council who are new to it. So it's been a challenging year for people to learn to drink from that fire hose that they have to drink from and learn what helping to lead a city is all about. I think the citizens made it clear when they elected me last June that they were ready for a new direction and for strong conservative leadership. So I've stuck by my priorities of improvements to our public safety, of building a strong economy based on low taxes and on wise infrastructure investments, and taking care of the neighborhoods where we all live. I've also worked hard to build trust with our citizens that they have in their city government, and also trying to make sure that there's greater transparency and accountability. But Lubbock's success doesn't depend just on me or our city council. It's the work of all of us in this room, some of whom I'd like to give special recognition to here today. Now, my friends, the Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows, Chairman Charles Perry, and Representative Carl Tepper are, of course, busy in Austin. They're in session now. As Coach McCaslin likes to always say, the toughest team wins, and I think we have the toughest team in Austin we've ever had working for Lubbock down there, and that's good for us. We were down there 2 weeks ago for Lubbock Day, and Lubbock is standing strong, and people know who we are here in Texas, so that's important for us. My friend, Congressman Jody Arrington, of course, is in Washington, D.C., fighting for us as well. I think legislatively, Lubbock is in the best position it has been in my memory. Lubbock County Judge Curtis Parrish, our county commissioners who are seated all the way at the back of the room. I don't know why. I didn't have anything to do with where they're seated, but they're here. They're back there. Our school board members, school district superintendents, leaders from Texas Tech, Lubbock Christian University, Wayland, South Plains College, they're all here. Church leaders, Chamber of Commerce leaders, And many great businesses and nonprofit leaders are here as well today, and I thank you for being here. But last of all, I want to thank the tremendous city employees that I get to work with. It's my honor and privilege to work with every day who are here as well. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to give them a round of applause. And thank you again to the Lubbock Apartment Association and all the sponsors for today's event. I thank you very much for your contributions to this. So let's begin here. My colleagues on the City Council, who I've had the pleasure of serving with, are here. The City Council is blessed with men and women who love this city and who care deeply about this city and their neighborhoods. Each year, the Lubbock Apartment Association generously donates a portion of the proceeds from the state of the city to a charity of the mayor's choosing. This year, my wife and I have chosen Guadalupe Parkway Neighborhood Centers as the recipients. This fantastic organization provides a safe place and quality programs that give young people and families real opportunities to learn life skills, develop self-esteem, and realize their full potential. So I want to recognize them here, down here front. Thank you guys very much. Guadalupe Parkway Neighborhood Center's CEO, Del Escuela, is here. Jazz Williams, Gabe Vitella on the board. So thank you all for being here. It's an honor for me to name you as the recipient of this. I know the work that you do, and I'm very proud of the work that you do. And so thank you very much. As the city of Lubbock, we strive to keep up with growth, take care of what we have, and spend your money wisely. Serving as mayor for almost a year now has been a tremendous pleasure. I've worn many hats during my career. Some of you may not know that. I was a youth minister starting off. I always joke about the fact that people say, well, why didn't you become a senior pastor or a minister of a church? I said, because I didn't like church politics. So that's the worst kind of politics if you know anything about it. You know, this is much easier, let me tell you, much easier than that. But I was also a business owner for many years here in Lubbock. I owned a bookstore, owned a coffee store, J&B, still around. Great place to go get coffee. But I got to give a shout out to Nashville, too, another great place to get coffee. They're here today. Appreciate that. I feel like sometimes my time as a minister and a lawyer really helped to prepare me for this job and for working at City Hall. Sir, please take the stand.
Mayor, I think this is a podium.
Sir, I told you, please take the stand.
Well, with all due respect, this is a podium.
All right, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, wait a minute. Sit back down. I get paid by the hour.
Hey, Jackson. Hey. Did I see you at karaoke this weekend?
Actually, Jackson, you don't have to answer that question. Give me a call, all right? Please bow your heads. Actually, I got this one, all right? Dear Lord, you can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth? Oh, so you can handle the truth. Yeah, maybe you can handle the truth. Who knows what the truth is?
Just say it. I don't think that's a good idea, sir.
Say it. Please. Right, all right. All rise. Man, I really like the sound of that. Well, I can dream, can't I? You know, many of you don't know, the first time I ever even ran for an office, I ran for judge. And there's 4 of us in the race. 3 of those people who ran in that race are now judges. I'm the only one who's not a judge. And some of them are here today. John Grace was in that race with me as well. That's my first opportunity. That's how I met a lot of people. It allowed me to begin to focus on what I wanted to do and what was important for me. In real life, my work as a mayor is more about the day-to-day, though, and the long-term decisions about local bread and butter issues that probably have a greater effect on all of us than those decisions that are made at almost any other level of government. We have a lot to talk about today. Lubbock voters approved a total of more than $300 million in street bond projects in 2022 and 2024. And we're excited to see the work and the progress on those much-needed road projects. A touchy subject, but can we talk about road construction in Lubbock? Can you remember a time when there were more orange cones around the city and there was as much work being done on our city streets? I can't. The State Department of Transportation is working on 19th Street, and I like to remind people 19th Street is not a city project, it's a state project, so that's where the complaints go. Loop 88, which is going to be wonderful when it's completed, and the county is working on Woodrow Road, and of course the city is working on our 2 voter-approved street bond projects. Last year we broke ground on projects from 98th Street, on 98th Street from Upland to Alcove, and Upland from 66th to 82nd, and on 146th Street from Quaker to Indiana. Now, I know all this progress is inconvenience. I've probably been stuck on 19th Street more than any of you since I just live a few blocks off of it. But all these projects are because of the tremendous growth we're experiencing. Street improvements across the city are vital components of a successful future for our city. The construction of new homes continues to increase steadily. I think a lot of us here were wondering where we would land after COVID. And I'm proud to say that Lubbock is still outpacing pre-pandemic numbers. There were 1,558 permits pulled for single-family homes in 2024, which is 17% more than in 2019 and 25% more than in 2018. The total valuation of this new construction reached more than $1 billion in 2022 and 2023. It's amazing how big-scale projects like Leprino and the South End Zone project at Tech can boost those numbers. We expect construction to continue to grow at a very steady rate as the rates drop and as the regulatory environment improves. Lubbock's unemployment rate as of January 2025 was 3.2%. The number of jobs available in Lubbock has increased 21% in the past 2 decades. And our labor force, fortunately, has kept up with this growth by growing at 20% during that same time frame. The number of jobs in Lubbock County is expected to increase by 27,545 in this decade. Lubbock continues to attract large employers. I attended Leprino's ribbon cutting earlier this year. They're creating 600 new jobs with their almost $1 billion investment here. In 2025, we should start to see the construction of the Plant Ag Systems facility, which will create 935 new jobs. And the expansion of Duraline's facilities will create an additional 141 new jobs. So it's a great time to invest in Lubbock as more and more companies are discovering this fact. Travel is a good sign of an economy, and total air passenger traffic continues trending upwards in Lubbock. The Lubbock Preston Smith International Airport had a 3.3 increase in passengers in 2024 compared to 2023, and a 14% increase last year compared to 2022. That doesn't mean you're all getting out on time, though, but still, that's a good sign for Lubbock. Sales tax collection, which is a driving force for our general fund that pays for a lot of what we do here in the city, especially our fire and our police, reached nearly $100 million in fiscal year 2023-24. Increased sales tax revenues reduce our reliance on property tax, which is something I'm as committed to as anything else. Our sales tax collections have increased by more than 50% since 2016. That's definitely a sign of a growing and a healthy economy. The City Council passed a budget this year that lowered the tax rate once again. In fact, I believe the average increase on a $200,000 house was only about $6 this year. And I remain committed to keeping our taxes low. Now, I've voted for the no new revenue rate every budget cycle. I don't always get in my way. But I know there may be times where this can't be done and still fund the priorities that we have to meet the level of expectation of our citizens for the services. But I'll always champion you, the taxpayer, and look for every way I can to keep your taxes as low as possible, because I think that's a real driving force behind Lubbock's strong economy. When you see the tax rates for other cities that are comparable to us in size, Lubbock has one of the lowest tax rates. Now, Plano and Irving, they get some advantages because they don't have to provide all services. They can depend on regional services around them. We're here kind of isolated in West Texas. And, of course, Midland residents experience a very high property tax value. So this makes our rate look even better when you compare it to these other similar cities. We're blessed to still have a low tax-backed debt, even with the 22 and 24 road bonds and the public safety improvement projects that we've made here recently. Lubbock has $372 million in tax-backed debt, and all our other debt is paid for by the revenue generated from our utilities and user fees. Lubbock's per capita debt of $1,265 compares very well to our peer group. Great days are ahead for us in Lubbock. The state of our city is strong, and it's this way because the people of Lubbock make it strong. We're a resilient, hardworking, friendly, and ambitious people. I've really been never more optimistic about our future than I am now. Now, I'm going to be sharing the stage today with a few people who work for us here in the city to further discuss a few topics I think are important, and we'll get around to those: our street bonds, our public safety, Lake 7, and more. I say this all the time, but the mayor and the city council are like the board of directors. We set policy, we cast a vision, but we rely on our tremendous city staff to get the job done. So I want to start here first by bringing up to the stage Jarrett Atkinson, our city manager. Would you welcome Jarrett, please? All right, Jarrett, thanks for being here. I'm glad you're here and you took a little time off from City Hall. Jarrett and I share the 11th floor up there. Yesterday was not a good day to look out from the 11th floor. I closed my curtains there on my windows yesterday. I ordered you good weather today, though, so that's one of the things you can do as a mayor. I'm appreciative of this. Jarrett, I mentioned the tax rate and the debt. Can you please talk for a minute about some of the other highlights in our budget for this year?
Certainly, Mayor. Be glad to do that. We've got a slide up on the screen now. Take a look at that. A couple of things that you and the council have been able to accomplish that I think are very, very good for our city. You've talked about the tax rate. The tax rate for the current year is just a little over a penny less than it was in the prior year, so good deal there. $14.5 million for street maintenance. This council has remained committed to taking care of what we have. This is not related to the street bond. These are our existing roads and trying to keep and to get them into good shape. That's $1 million better than the prior year. And Mayor, pleased to report that, of course, is all in cash. So we're out of the game with any debt funding for street maintenance, and we continue to be able to increase that each year. Council funded a project to do some evaluation work on the future of Godeke Library. Pleased to report that is underway and expect we will hear stuff pretty soon on that. Public safety, always a big deal for our council, always a main focus. It's called out in the charter as such. For the current year's budget, we've added 3 new firefighter positions in our fire marshal's office, and that's really to provide 24-hour coverage all the way around the year. An additional division chief has been added to Lubbock Fire Rescue. We added 3 new patrol positions at the Lubbock Police Department, 4 civilian, what we call public safety officers, and the importance of that is that allows Chief Herman, and we'll hear him later today, that allows the chief to focus his law enforcement assets on law enforcement efforts. 2 new customer service positions at Lubbock Animal Services. This is to make us more effective, more responsive, and quicker when our civilians or when our public calls and needs some help. Just another quick one before we switch. City of Lubbock has got a very large fleet of vehicles and equipment. We replace a large number of those each year. This year we're buying 148 vehicles or pieces of heavy equipment, and of those, 132 of them are going to be cash-funded replacements, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And that gives you a good indication of how well run our city is. I don't think I understood that until I got into this office. Jared does an amazing job on that. Our city just received its annual comprehensive financial report, which I've read every page of it. It's about that thick.
Certainly.
It's amazing that this ever gets put together in any sort of a timely manner. But there's some real highlights from it. Can you take us through those highlights of that?
Glad to do that. And I think first and foremost, want to let everybody in the room know that yet again, the city received what is called an unmodified, or what folks such as myself will call a clean opinion, and there were zero findings, again, in our city audit this year. So to all of my accounting and finance team that are in the room or listening somewhere else, thank y'all for your work. You take excellent care of the public dollars. The slide that's on here, I'll call out probably just two things on this, Mayor, for our audience today. On the top, it talks about the growth of your general fund over a period of 5 years. And again, general fund, tax supported, that is public safety, that is parks, that is street, basically the things you don't pay an additional fee for. Over this 5 years, the city of Lubbock has held the rate of increase inside your general fund to statistically, basically, the same as population plus inflation. So in other words, we're not costing more, we're not costing less, unfortunately, but we're not costing more to continue to provide those services. On the bottom of that particular slide, this is where we break it down into the cost per capita or the cost per person to provide those general fund services. Take away from that, 5 years ago, it cost $1,016 per person for us to deliver those general fund services. In the current year, it cost us $1,043. So $27 increase over 5 years. Adjusted for inflation, we're beating that. We're continuing to be able to hold that line.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's move on to the debt profile, because that's something that I get a lot of questions about.
Certainly, Mayor. I think we all do. So we'll just start at the top line and put it out there. As you can see on the slide, all in the city of Lubbock's outstanding debt. This is principal and interest, so it's the total. Your outstanding debt is $1.8 billion. That's a very large number. I think it's important, though, that we recognize the bar on the far left-hand side of the chart, the largest bar on there, $741 million. That's the debt associated with Lubbock Power and Light. When Lubbock is compared to other cities, I think it's important to remember, I think there are only 5 in the state of Texas that have a municipally owned electric utility. So 40% of the total outstanding debt is associated with Lubbock Power and Light. Something that maybe doesn't get talked out enough, a large part of that debt is associated with moving us into the ERCOT market. The biggest piece of that are what we call the big 345 kilovolt transmission lines, the big ones we see out on the edge of town. Those lines are used certainly to connect us to ERCOT, but customers to the north, suppliers to the north, customers to the south, suppliers to the south, they use our lines as well. That generates a little over $40 million a year that does not come from us as Lubbock ratepayers to help support that outstanding debt with Lubbock Power and Light. So again, about 40% of the total is associated with the electric utility. 24% is your water and wastewater, something I try to always mention. Having a 100-year water plan, the supply and the infrastructure to back it up is not inexpensive. It's not. It's not a cost at the end of the day. It is an investment. If we do not have that, we will not get to continue to enjoy the growth, the success, what we're seeing from economic development, Leprino Foods. We have to have that. And when we build a large water project, we all start to pay for that, and it carries out generally over 20 years. But those assets are literally multi-generational assets for our future. So it is not just us and our kids and our grandkids. It goes farther than that. A little water trivia real quick. The first big water acquisition made in Lubbock was in 1957. It's what we call the Bailey County well field today. We still use that well field, and it still has significant life in it. It's an investment into our future. Breakdown from that, you get into the general fund, which is about 23%. Mayor, I think you covered that very well in your earlier remarks. Just a quick reminder of that total $1.8 billion number, 80% is covered by rates or by fees. 20% is what comes out of your tax bill.
All right, thank you. I think that gives you a good indication of how well we prepare ourselves for the future, and we can't do enough to prepare for water. Without water, we wouldn't even be here. So I really enjoy working with you, Jarrett. Thank you for taking time here. Let's give him a round of
Mayor.
applause.
Thank you.
And I want to bring up now our new police chief. Come on up, Chief Herman. Good morning, Chief.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me. My job. Hello.
If you haven't met our new chief yet, I mean, he won't appear like probably the traditional police chief. He's a lot of fun to know, but he is an incredible professional, and we are very fortunate to have him leading our police force here in Lubbock. So I want you to talk a little bit, Chief, about your first impressions of the department and some of the goals that you have for the year ahead.
Well, I can tell you, an amazing group of men and women. I've been thoroughly impressed from day one on the professionalism and commitment by these people who serve you through the Lubbock Police Department. And in turn, I would like to say that this city has been so warm and gracious. To be honest with you, it's almost like I grew up here, absent the swirlies in high school wrestling, but we won't talk about that. So it's really been amazing. It truly has.
What are some of your goals for the police department?
Well, obviously, it's lowering the crime rate, and I think we're well on our way to doing that. We're increasing the number of our allocated personnel. Obviously, as City Manager mentioned, I'd like to continue to increase that number further. Our recruiting division is doing an outstanding job to fill current vacancies. We actually have 419 people testing this weekend for the position of police recruit. And beyond that, it's the proactive component of law enforcement because, ladies and gentlemen, whether you know it or not, the only way that you curb crime is to put criminals in jail. And so to that end, the men and women of the Lubbock Police Department commit themselves daily and nightly to that endeavor. In fact, if you'll notice up on the board, our officers responded last year to 123,000 calls for service. Those were calls that you requested as citizens that we respond to intervene. When you compare that to the self-initiated endeavors that these officers committed to of 116,000, a little over 116,000, that's a 7,000 difference. That means that they almost conducted as many self-initiated activity calls as the calls they responded to. That's an officer seeing something that's out of place and initiating contact. That's pretty impressive for a city as the size of Lubbock that's growing continually in both population and area.
I think probably the environment, the morale at the police force is stronger and better than it's been in a long time, and a lot of it is due to your leadership there. I think that's a real key to it. So it's a wonderful time. I'm excited about the number of recruits that we will be bringing in, the people who are applying. So thank you for your leadership. It's really important. And I think you announced a 100% murder clearance rate this past year. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. Can I get that for you? I would attribute that, ladies and gentlemen, to, again, the proactive enforcement endeavors of our officers, working in collaboration with our other local, state, and federal partners. Through that proactive effort, these officers are attacking the catalyst for these murders, which predominantly, unfortunately, in this area as well as throughout the United States, is narcotics. And that's where they're focusing their attention, and those are the bad guys who are being put in jail. And that's why, if you'll see, the murder rate between 2020 and now has decreased by 20. Obviously, we want a zero murder rate, but going from 36 to 16 is a feather in their cap for sure. And I attribute it to the hard work of the men and women of Lubbock PD as well as our law enforcement partners.
Well, thank you, Chief. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause, and I want to bring up our fire chief now. We got two new chiefs. Thank you for being here. Richard Stewart, our new fire chief. You served the Irving Fire Department for 30 years, I believe. So what have your first months, a few months here in Lubbock been like? And talk about some of your goals here moving forward.
Sure. First of all, howdy. I am new here. Just ended my 5th month. And first I want to say it's just an honor, and I'm very humbled to be the fire chief of Lubbock. Again, like Seth was saying, so warm and welcoming to me. This is already home to me. So thank y'all. As far as impressions, number one is the people. The men and women of Lubbock Fire Rescue are just blow me away. They're exceptional at delivering a high level of service to the community. 2 is the investment the city leadership makes in the department. You, council, and the city manager's office. That says a lot. It says a lot about this city and the priority on public safety. And frankly, it's demonstrated every day with our men and women going out there with the equipment and resources that you provided to serve the public at a very high level. So,
well, I had the pleasure of taking part in your Fire Ops 101 class last year, and was very impressive. I don't think you know what these people do when you put on that suit and you go into that burning building, fake burning building. The claustrophobia kicks in immediately. It's a tough job that they do, but you do a whole lot more than just fight fires. That's what I was impressed by, is how many different ways our fire department serves our city. So can you discuss some of those?
Yes, sir. You're exactly right, and we get that a lot. Most people think we just respond to fires, but and we responded to 27,000 calls for service last year. 71% of that is EMS. We also do a multitude of specialty teams. Being on an island out here, like coming from the Metroplex, if I needed something, I had a neighbor. Out here in Lubbock, we have to be very self-reliant on ourselves and resilient. So we have a high-angle rescue team, a hazardous material team, a dive team, along with a wildland team that actually deploys across the state and even into like California a couple months ago. So we are very well-rounded, very equipped to handle virtually any emergency that arises.
Well, I thank you, Chief, for your work. Appreciate very much, and I think your leadership has helped lead our fire department to have an ISO 1 rating, which really means you're in the top 1% in the country, and it keeps your insurance premiums low. So thank you for all that. Let's keep that going, Chief. Thank you. Now I want to ask Eric Rahino to come up. Eric? I don't care how early I get there in the morning, Eric's always at his desk. I walk right by his desk. He's always hard at work. Appreciate you, Eric. Thank you very much. So, our citizens have approved 2 major bond issues, one in 2022 and one in 2024. Can you give us a kind of an update on where we are on those projects briefly?
Absolutely, Mayor. Good to be with you. Appreciate everybody attending. Really appreciative to the voters. They approved a $200 million road bond back in 2022, and most recently in November of 24, approved just a little over $103 million. Our team, speaking of city staff, our team in engineering has done a phenomenal job in getting us off to a very, very quick start on the 2022, and we've made a tremendous amount of progress. We've actually completed a couple of projects already. Our 34th Street projects, the 2 that were on the 2022 bond, are officially complete. These were back at curb improvements, sidewalk improvements over from Avenue Q to I-27 and Slide to Quaker. There's also a tremendous amount of construction right now that's ongoing as we speak. There's 3 projects under construction: 98th Street, Alcove to Upland. We've got 146th Street, Quaker to Indiana, as well as some neighborhood rebuilds that will be finishing up phase 3 of the actual residential rebuilds this year in Dunbar, Manhattan, and those will all be completed this year. We also have 6 additional projects that are going to be going out to bid this year, and you'll see 6 more projects go under construction. The remaining years 4 and 5, it's a 5-year program. The other 2 years of projects are actually currently under design, so off to a very good start for 2022.
And some people wonder why we had 2 back-to-back bond issues, and it's really because we've gone about 14 years without a street bond issue. So
yes,
it's not our intention to keep bringing these up every couple of years, but we really did need to get ahead of Lubbock's growth. That was really important. So a lot of people are interested in Broadway. We talk a little bit about Broadway and what that's going to look like going forward?
Well, certainly we can do that. The voters approved another $103 million in 2024. Broadway was a big piece of that. Whenever the Citizens Advisory Committee that council appointed, group of citizens, different areas of expertise, they came back with a recommendation. They looked at priority growth projects. They looked at safety, traffic generation, as well as school safety. But Broadway obviously was one of the top projects, and it's currently under design. We're in design this year. There's going to be some utility relocation that needs to be done next year, consisting of franchise utilities, city utilities, and in 2027 we'll actually do the actual project and resurfacing of Broadway. The committee had a recommendation, which the council accepted, and we're talking about the stretch of Broadway from Avenue Q to Avenue E, and this includes concrete lanes with modern brick intersections as well as back of curb. There's a tremendous amount of investment being made in the back of curb, from sidewalks to lighting, landscaping, and ultimately with an end goal of having increasing vehicle traffic as well as pedestrian traffic for our downtown businesses.
Well, Eric, thank you very much for all your hard work, and I expect to see you there tomorrow morning when I get there. All right? Thanks very much. Now I want to bring up Colby Van Gundy, our Parks and Recreation Director. Colby, how are you doing? Good. A lot of exciting things happening in that department. Let's go through them quickly if we can. It's been a very busy year. I think let's talk a little bit about Meadowbrook Golf Course and what's going on out there. I know a lot of you guys probably play golf out there, women. So what's going on at Meadowbrook?
Yeah, we're excited about Meadowbrook. We've taken over official January 1st as operational, running the management company. A little bit different than it's been in years past. Years past it was under a leased type of scenario, and we've gone to more of a management company now. And so the city's got a little bit more stake into it now. And we're excited to bring Meadowbrook back to what it used to be and set it up for success going long term forward. Been working primarily in the clubhouse right now during the first few months until the growing season starts for the outside, but remodeled the entire pro shop, got a brand new fleet of carts, just some things that really set the course up for success going forward.
And I think you've also got some plans for some walking trails, and we've got a pickleball court. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we got our walking trails are just getting started, and so we've got 12 of our parks are going to get new walking trails, 2 in each council district, and construction started on that just a few weeks ago, and we're excited to see those come about in the first part of summer. Walking trails were one of the number one requests in our master plan, and so we're glad to get those going. We have opened up 2 brand new facilities, some pickleball courts, which we opened those in November, and every day that's been warm, they've been crowded. My daughter's even gotten me to go play, and so it's fun to see there. You'll see ages from 5 to 75 years old. And
you don't want to play with those 70-year-olds. I'll tell you that. They're the meanest. They are the meanest. And our splash pads as well. Yeah,
the splash pads opened in early July. Great success. The citizens really came out to those. We were averaging over 840 people a day. And so really looking forward to being able to offer a full season with those, being able to open a little earlier than we would before, and then being able to stay later throughout the year.
Well, this is important to our city and for the sort of the lifestyle component of our city, and so we really appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Thank you. Last, I want to bring up Wood Franklin to talk about something that's very important to me and very dear to my heart. And we talked a little bit about our 100-year water plan, and a big component of that is some steps we've taken over the last year to really bring that into fruition. Can you tell us a little bit about Lake 7 and what's going on there?
Sure. Happy to talk about Lake 7. It's a wonderful project for the city of Lubbock. First and foremost, these lake projects and water supply projects don't exactly happen overnight. This project started mainly back in 1960 with the Jim Bertram Lake System. Several of those lakes have already been constructed through Lubbock, inside the city of Lubbock, and the next one in that system is Lake 7, currently located and planned east of Loop 289 and between the Loop and Buffalo Springs Lake. And in 2006, that was included in our strategic water supply plan. That's our plan that we have that sets the roadmap for 100 years of water for the city of Lubbock. Very important plan that we have. And in 2006, this lake was included in that plan. How is that lake going to be filled? One of those things that we get all the time is what's the supply going in that lake? This lake is very unique. Unlike other lakes that are dependent on rainfall or groundwater that's dependent on a finite supply of water, this is going to be a reuse lake. Replenishable with some of our treated water from 2 treatment plants. We have stormwater projects. City of Lubbock invested in some stormwater projects in southwest Lubbock, and those are very expensive projects, but we have a lot of that coming into this lake. Also, we have Lake Leprino going in there as a water supply coming into this lake.
Over 1 million gallons a day, is that right?
Absolutely. They're going to take a large volume of water supply, but they are returning more water than they are taking into this lake.
That's the kind of businesses we like.
So kind of good. One thing that we've done and we've actually accomplished in 2024, last year, we received our TCQ water right permits for this. So all of those water supplies going into this lake that I mentioned are now property of the City of Lubbock. So we have the rights to those waters. Our next step is to gain the right to impound that water. So our next step that we started last month, the City Council approved an engineering contract so that we can start our Corps 404, United States Corps of Engineering 404 permit. That permit establishes and gives us the right to impound that water. And so that's our next step, to go ahead and impound that water to construct this lake.
And this lake, like the other smaller lakes in Lubbock, are going to be pretty much constant level lakes.
Absolutely. So this will be coming in, and of course, mention the uniqueness of this lake that has the inflow coming from our treatment and our stormwater, which is very unique than any other lake. So this lake will grow with the growth of City of Lubbock. So as Lubbock grows, the volume coming into this lake grows, and that just turns into a water supply for the City of Lubbock.
And it's not just a water supply; it's also a recreational opportunity.
Absolutely. This is going to be used as a recreational area. This lake, to put it in perspective, surface area is going to be twice as large as Buffalo and Ransom combined. So that provides a unique aspect for some recreational on the lake. But also this lake and the property around it is included in the park's master plan. So they have included about 15 miles of bike and walking trails along the Canyon Lakes, going all the way from Burl Huffman all the way through City of Lubbock and even across and down the future Lake 7 here. We also have something unique coming to Lubbock that's under construction, is West Texas Veterans Cemetery that's going to overlook this lake, and that will be a very good aspect for the City of Lubbock.
Thank you, Wood. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for all your work. If you haven't been out there, I mean, most people don't get to see that canyon, that part of the canyon, because you can't really get to it. But we worked very hard with the family that owned that, and it was a wonderful relationship working with them. And it was my privilege to sign those closing documents just a few weeks ago on that. That is a great step forward for Lubbock's future, and it's going to be a jewel for Lubbock in the future. So we're running out of time here, so I want to quickly mention a few more things before we leave. One is 4th on Broadway. City Council and I are committed to making sure that this great tradition continues. I know that Lubbockites enjoy this event very much, and I'm grateful for the late Don Caldwell for his work in bringing this together and hosting it for all these years. But this year, Civic Lubbock and Los Hermanos Familia and the Military Order of the Purple Heart are going to be helping us make sure that this tradition continues and carrying that baton forward. We'll continue to enjoy a parade, concert, and a spectacular fireworks program afterwards. And if you're interested in helping with that, you can certainly contact my office, and we'll put you in touch with everybody. Another project you may have heard about recently is updating this Civic Center here. It's 50 years old, and adding a much larger exhibition hall to bring in trade shows and events to Lubbock that we're currently losing to other venues. Being able to showcase Lubbock more to outside businesses and visitors will be a key to keeping Lubbock a true hub of West Texas. And we're looking at other options for this location that may involve work with the county on their project as well. At the moment, we're undergoing a needs assessment to just see what exactly we need as far as a civic center, an exhibition hall, an arena. And once we get that back, we will be taking further steps on this. But this can make a big impact on Lubbock's future. Great things always happen in Lubbock when we work together. Before Lubbock existed, maps referred to this area, and I remember this from the 4th grade, as a vast, uninhabitable desert. The history of Lubbock is doing things that a lot of people think are nearly impossible. In the 1920s, the city came together to make us the home to one of the great universities in this state. Wouldn't have happened without this city working together. A little more than 50 years ago, a devastating tornado tore out the heart of this city. But we came together again to rebuild after that. 25 years ago, we worked together to secure our water future by building Lake Allen Henry. We live in a tremendous city. We don't have a long history. We're not an old city. We don't have a bunch of traditions and history that gets in the way of our progress. Instead, we're young and we're energetic, but we're not dumb. Lubbock's future is only going to get better because the people in this room are committed to moving Lubbock forward in the right direction. I'm grateful for everyone, for their hard work, and for their love for Lubbock. It's an honor for me to serve you as your mayor. I try to take every opportunity I can to show up wherever I ask. Tegan Bradley, my assistant, when those calls come in, I said, put it on my calendar. Schools, ribbon cuttings, fundraisers, civic clubs and organizations, wherever I'm invited, I'm happy to show up. It's truly the best job I've ever had. It's not the best paying job I've ever had, but it's the best job I've ever had. I'll just tell you a quick thing. When I go to schools and little kids, and I ask them, one of the things is, how much do you think I make as a mayor? You'd be surprised. $1 million, $1 million. Or one kid, my favorite answer was, you get to keep all the taxes. And when I tell them, and they're like, this is about what my allowance is, it kind of does shock them quite a bit. But this city has done a lot for me, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to pay it forward any way I can. Great days are ahead, I can promise you that. I'm reminded every day that what makes Lubbock great is its people. I hear that constantly from visitors. In fact, I heard it recently from the director of the Les Miserables when it was here in town. I got the privilege to go backstage and see how that performance comes off. And he said, I got to tell you something. We've toured hundreds of cities, and this has got to be the friendliest city I have ever been in. From the Uber drivers to the people in the restaurant to the people who help us here, this is the friendliest city I've ever been in. That's true. This is a great city. Thank you all for being here. As we used to say around here, maybe you don't remember this, I'm old enough to remember it. Lucky me, I live in Lubbock. I think we can all agree this is still true. We are very lucky. We are very blessed. Have a great day. May God bless each one of you, and may God continue to bless Lubbock, Texas. Thank you.